Hello, my name is Teresita Blanco, the Artsy sister, and we're continuing in Saturnastra. This is Chapter 10, Charity. Year 10, Month 2, Day 6, 7 a.m. The Ornas Feudal was located in the southeast region of Pfizer, and the southern region was naturally fertile. And even during the dry period, the Pfizer region continued to produce grain at its unusual rate, and in other regions productivity increased for more than 50%. And this brings us to the Ornas Feudal. This feudal was among those which increased their fuel production, and they mainly produced cash crops of sugar, coffee, and cotton. And due to the fertility of their land, they only required 10% of their fields to produce the wheat, rice, field potatoes, and corn they ate. The nearby meadows provided grass for their cows and sheep, which combined with the river provided their protein intake. Despite this bountiful food, the commoners of Pfizer were experiencing a man-made famine. Duke Rebon van Unheid V had a brilliant idea of selling his surplus of food in regions struck by a famine, and he would charge 5 to 10 times the market price in towns ravaged by the famine. And over time, the feudal king started tapping into the reserves, and this year the fertile feudal Ornas experienced its first man-made famine. To relieve the famine, our charity group had been dispatched, and the charity group was composed of concerned mothers from different worlds. And this group of mothers had the lofty idea of abolishing starvation. And during the Conquistador era, this world had experienced all sorts of poverty and abuses. And thanks to the ultimate weapon's prodigious memory, they still remember how painfully it felt to starve to death. And like most of our organizations, charity was founded by Lady Godiva, and due to Mardu's insistence, Godiva limited her interference to her charity side project, and following Godiva were 6 other maidens who shared her lofty goal of abolishing starvation. And the first 2 were Katia and Tina, granddaughters of Zarfinis, and they were a pair of serious level-headed maidens with a big heart, and the other 4 were Miriana, Mary, Fatima, and Karija, and Picos was their mother. Overall, they came along for the trip because they had nothing better to do. Plus, Lady Godiva had some convincing arguments and another. And as a support group, Charity had the armed escort of Nalini's crystal knights. And like their namesake, they were nice dressing armors made of quartz crystals. And though made of crystals, the oddity of the refraction made it impossible to see the figure being clothed by the armor. And all of the crystal knights were open maidens and a few young men who were rescued by Lady Godiva, and she raised herself baby as if they were her own children, and they were a grand total of 1,000 knights, and as part of the charity escort, she took with her the 5 crystal knights. And we don't want to get the wrong idea about us because of the Conquistador era. We have a strong belief in non-interference, and some have noble aspirations, like Marduk, while others become a public nuisance, like our dear Nalini, and nobody's perfect. The Ornas feudal looked like any other feudal, and it had a bunch of half-baked homes surrounding a stone citadel, and the citadel was large enough to house the ruling family, and some 5,000 knights, and the citadel had a ditch around it, and to enter the citadel the guards had to lower the bridge, and the exterior looked as dismal as the outside, and it was built like for defense, and Duke Juan was no fool. He knew the price he had to pay for the life he led, and this cold-blooded realization made him into a monster wearing the flesh of a human. And the man himself was a handsome devil, jet black hair, black eyes, Roman nose, noble frame, and somewhat muscular from his 7 years of playing soldier boy in Berthame's army. And since he was a runaway duke's brat and somewhat useless, he got preferential treatment in the army. And when his berserker blood awoke at the age of 21, he realized how useless he truly was without his rank or his money. And at the age of 22, he packed his bags and he returned home. And since then, he has been taking out his sadistic rage and thus unfortunate enough to live under his domain. And this morning, Charity had brought the supply wagons, and the group was raided by 2 knights, one in iron armor and the other in bronze. The bronze knight saluted the group, and he was not too alarmed by the caravan, seeing as though they only had 5 knights escorting them, and he was traveling about with the Charity. And he had left the forest to go with them one sunny afternoon, and he apparently wanted a change of scenery. Also, he had reached that age when feral dragon mothers and their kids go their separate ways. And for the last few months, he had been traveling from town to town distributing food, and he was usually stationed within one of the supply wagons just in case the guards tried to decommission the supplies. And he had changed quite a bit since last we saw him, and at the age of 12, so to speak. He was the size of a 10-year-old brat, and one of the girls of the caravan had given him a haircut to have his look match one of his favorite paintings, and his hair was now the true color of blood, and his face was more boyish, but it still maintained some of the girly airs like bright red lips. And instead of his robes, he wore black Flemish Baroque noble attire, and the attire came with an elegant black hat and brown leather gloves. And the guys looked at the supply wagons with suspicion, and their suspicion faded when they noted that all of the drivers were teen maidens, and the only one leading the pack was a woman, Lady Godiva, and she sported a simple white medieval dress made of cashmere, and his body had a usual decorated golden gibberish, and Godiva had red flaming hair and green eyes, and her most striking feature was her long-fingered hands. Behind Godiva followed Katya and Tina, and they were dressed in desert robes, and both had the same large black eyes and long eyelashes, and the black eyeliner they wore made their eyes look even larger. And their veil was held in place by an arbitrary crystal orb. And Miriam and Mary were twins, and they did everything together, and the pair were dressed in yellow medieval dresses, and both had ebony skin, and wore their long black hairs braided. And Fatima and Karija wore medieval dresses of similar design, and Fatima was dark blue, and Karija wore a pure white one, and they had monolith eyes, which was unusual in the continent of Berthame, and she was the one who caught the guards' attention, and the guards soon forgot about her when they gazed at Karija's. "I am going to kill you, grey eyes." And the Arab knight got the reins of Godiva's horses and led the group to the inn stable, and once they were settled in, the Arab knight asked Godiva, "What brings you fair ladies like yourself on this long trip?" And Godiva made a curtsy and said, "We are charity, and we came to relieve the famine." "What famine? We got plenty of food," commented the knight. Godiva said nothing, and she removed the reins of the saddle from her horses, and after she made a sign to the girl who started unpacking. And the crystal knight left the stable to prowl about town, and the Arab knight frowned when he saw that the ladies were ignoring him, and sighing he made a motion to his partner and said, "Go inform the Duke." "Yes, sir," said the bronze knight sadly, and he dreaded being the bearer of bad news. And while Godiva held a box in her hand, the Arab knight had the nerve to put his hand on her shoulder, and Godiva smiled with content as the Arab knight removed his hand quickly, and he felt as if his hand had been shocked by lightning. And the knight then thought Godiva was possibly a witch, and feeling stupid, the knight said, "Do you require assistance?" "No, we got it," said Godiva, putting another one of the heavy boxes down. And the Arab knight looked left and right before saying below his breath, "You should leave before the Duke finds out you're here. That man is a monster." "And your point is, you can either warn us of the Duke, or play your gentleman's card and unload these heavy boxes for us," snapped Godiva. And the knight did as Godiva demanded. While taking out the boxes, a shade inside the car jumped out, and the shade was none other than our dear Ahi. And the force of Ahi's jump knocked the knight out of the cart, and brushing himself off, the knight bowed and said, "Forgive me, young lord, I was not aware you were inside." And he simply smiled, and he went to stand beside Lady Godiva. The war progressed slowly, and the only sound that entered the barn came from Ahi playing with his female companion. And the games varied from tag to patty cake, and the only one who didn't join in the game was Karija, and she sat on a bench outside the barn, and she busied herself with sewing. And Godiva jumped from time to time, and she was in the mood to ride her horses, and her horse Arion neighed restlessly inside the stable, and the whole acting like a normal horse scene was getting on his nerves and on the nerves of all of the other horses that had to play pretend. Arion had the appearance of a black gypsy banner, and he was larger than most banner horses, and his long mane, tail, and felt locks were white, and his eyes were pitch black, and whenever he galloped at full speed, his legs emitted lightning, and he too could feel his master growing restless, and it was his respect for Lady Godiva that kept his temper in check. And normal humans dealing with horses were starting to notice certain peculiarities about them, and something about their unnatural calmness, and the fact that they weren't eating the hay laid out for them, and the fact that they didn't smell like horses made the knights uneasy. And after an hour, the knight finished unloading the boxes, and Godiva smiled and said, "Thank you, Sir Knight." And she frowned when she saw the Duke approaching, and the Duke came into the scene riding on his horseback, and he spotted a luxurious golden armor which outshone the sun. And the girls stopped their grins and giggled when they saw him approach with 30 other knights, and all the girls but Karija greeted them, and Karija just kept sewing, stoically ignoring the visitors. And since they have pretty faces, some of the knights returned the girls' welcoming salutes. And he snorted when he saw the knights, and he couldn't tell who smelled worse, the knights or their horses. And the Duke surveyed the woman with an eye of disdain, and he was about to give a stupid order when he saw something shiny in the corner of his eyes. And the knights too noticed the Duke growing restless, and the Duke saw the crystal knights in random corners, and the crystal knights were surrounding them, and when the Duke saw that there were only 5, he started laughing. And his knights too laughed as well, and with his usual arrogance he asked, "Is this it? Are these all the knights you have brought for protection?" And Godiva folded her hands and sneered, "Oh no, you got it all wrong, Duke." "Is that so?" said the Duke entertained. "Those knights, they are not here to protect us. They are here to protect you," she said coyly. And the knight started laughing, and only the Duke did not laugh, and his berserker blood told him that the maiden spoke the truth. And upon closer inspection, he saw the girls looking tense as if they were preparing to strike him down. And after an eerie silence, Godiva said, pointing to the girls, "These girls are dangerous criminals, and if we weren't here, these girls would butcher this whole village." Again the knights laughed, and again the Duke said nothing, and what Godiva had said had piqued his interest, and his berserker blood told him that she spoke the truth, and still he was not convinced, and against protocol the good Duke descended his horse, and he walked over to Tina, and he said in a gentle voice, "Let me see your hands." And Tina gave a nervous look to Godiva, and then to him, and the pair nodded, and then Tina then gave her hands to the Duke, and the Duke looked at them from the back and front, and he asked Tina, "A poisoner perhaps, a message secured in Veragero." And Tina took one of the Duke's hands into her face, and she looked so very dreamy, and he almost felt like he was falling in love in her eyes, her face, and she said softly, "I don't poison men, I love them, and I love you too, Duke Undine." And she drew closer to the Duke, and he felt her hot breath in his mouth, and he allowed her to draw him in closer until Tina suddenly backed away with a face of disgust, and her expression greatly wounded the Duke's pride, and he said, frowning, "If I were you, I would keep a tight leash on that one." "If I kept a tighter leash on her, she wouldn't be able to work," commented Lady Godiva. "I see," said the Duke condescending, "and if you want the girls to work, they may keep my men company for a few nights." And one of the other knights said, "We don't mind the crazy one, worst comes to worst, we can tie them up." That would violate the terms of release for Tina and Katia. "And they may only sleep with virgin men during the breeding seasons, and since it's not breeding season and none of you are virgins, I must decline your generous offer," said Lady Godiva stoically. And this strange rule intrigued the men gathered there, and he simply watched the scene with disdain. And the Duke asked, pointing to Mariana and Mary, "So what's their crime?" "Mariana likes to torture people to death, and once they are sliced to ribbons, Mary seasons their remains and adds garlic and pepper and other seasonings, and once they are cooked a la mode, she eats them." Then I fried when they heard Godiva say those words so casually. "And that one?" asked the Duke, pointing to Famila. "She did not keep it to herself," said Godiva. "Huh?" asked the Duke. "She knows what she did," said Godiva, frowning. Fatima said, giggling, "That was bad." "And what did she do?" insisted the Duke. "Fatima pretended to be a goddess, and she got collection money, offerings, and everything," said Godiva disapprovingly. "Ah, a scammer," the Duke added. "Good for her." "And the quiet one over there," asked the bronze knight. "Carija is a baby killer, and she can't stand them, so she kills them, and she killed about 5 before they caught her. And since she hadn't graduated at the time, she was judged as a minor," explained Godiva, whose frown deepened into a grimace. And the bronze knight commented, "Wow, you weren't kidding when you said that these were dangerous criminals, and why haven't you executed them?" "You only get capital punishment for treason, and only the Brute Prince has the authority to condemn people to death," continued Lady Godiva. "Well, enough of this nonsense," said the Duke, sighing, and he added, "Your girls may be dangerous, but I'm certain they can keep me entertained for a night." "What a pain," said Godiva, folding her arms. And Carija said to Godiva, "I knew that the fools wouldn't listen to reason." And the Duke placed his hand over Godiva, and he said, "Don't worry, honey, it is just a friendly meal. News travels fast in the continent of Berthame, and I am familiar with all the rumors about charity and what happens to the leaders who do not cooperate. So feel free to feed my people, blow them up like pigs. You can even eat a few of their children. I don't care." "Some of those rumors about us are just big misunderstandings," said Godiva, not amused. Alright, so that's the end of that chapter. Bye-bye and God bless.